I grew up in a small town in rural Pennsylvania, tucked between endless cornfields and dark stretches of forest. People used to say our town was safe because you could hear trouble coming from miles away. Sound carried strangely across those flat fields. You could hear a car engine or a barking dog long before you saw it. But there was one sound I'll never forget. Something I wish I'd never heard. It was late September, right as the nights were starting to get cold. I was 16, home alone while my parents went out for the evening. The house sat at the edge of the woods, with only one flickering streetlight out front. I was sprawled on the couch with a blanket and an old VHS tape playing when I heard it. At first, I thought it was just leaves rustling, but then I noticed something off about the rhythm. It wasn't the wind. It was dragging, like something heavy scraping across the ground. A slow, wet shuffling sound that grew louder, closer. I muted the TV. The noise was coming from the woods. I crept to the window, pulling the curtain back just an inch. That's when I saw it. Something crawling out of the tree line. It wasn't an animal, at least not like any I'd ever seen. Its arms were too long, elbows bent backward as it pulled itself forward on the ground. The legs trailed behind, useless, like they were broken or twisted. The body looked human, but raw, elongated, pale as bone under the porch light. And the head, God, the head was lopsided, like the skull had been crushed. It dragged itself on all fours, but its chest and stomach scraped the dirt with each pull, making that awful sound I'd heard. The slow, deliberate crawl, straight toward my house. I staggered back from the window, heart racing. My first thought was to call my parents, but when I picked up the phone, the line was dead. No dial tone. The crawling grew louder. I crept upstairs, trying not to make a sound, and peeked out my bedroom window. It was closer now, maybe 15 feet from the porch. It didn't move fast, but there was something relentless about it. It never stopped, never hesitated. Just crawl, drag, crawl. That's when I realized its face wasn't just lopsided. It didn't have eyes, just empty, shadowed hollows where eyes should have been. And yet, I knew it was looking for me. Panic set in. I grabbed the baseball bat from my closet and stood frozen by my bed, trying to convince myself this was some nightmare. But then came the sound of fingernails scratching wood. It was at the porch. The boards creaked under its weight. Scratch, drag, scratch, drag. Then, silence. I held my breath. A long, thin hand slapped against the glass of my bedroom window. I dropped the bat and stumbled backward, hitting the dresser. The hand slid slowly down the pane, leaving a streak of something dark, blood or mud, I couldn't tell. But the face pressed up next, skin stretched tight, mouth opening wide even though there were no eyes to see me with. The glass fogged as it exhaled, slow and heavy. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I just stood there, paralyzed, watching as it dragged its body higher against the window frame, trying to pull itself up. And headlights cut across the yard, my parents' car. The thing dropped instantly, collapsing to the porch with a sickening thud before crawling back into the dark. By the time my dad opened the front door, There was no sign of it, just muddy streaks on the steps and a handprint on my window that no one else seemed to notice. For years, I tried to convince myself I imagined it, a trick of the shadows, a dream I'd half woken from. But then last winter, I visited a cousin who lives in Ohio. Her house is in a quiet suburb, nowhere near the woods. I was sleeping on her couch when, around 2 a.m., I heard it again. That sound, the dragging. I told myself it couldn't be, that it had been years, that I'd left it behind in Pennsylvania. But when I looked out the sliding glass door, my blood ran cold. There it was, crawling across her backyard, pale body pulling itself through the snow, leaving a long, dark trail behind it. And this time, it was faster. I don't know what it wants. I don't know how it follows me. But I do know this. Whatever that crawling thing is, it isn't stopping. It isn't dying. And every time I see it again, it's closer. Closer to standing. Closer to reaching me. Closer to climbing inside.